my presentation. My name is Cong, and this is my partner Luan. We all together conduct a content about the creative strategy, or we can call it marketing advertising strategy, because there's many ways to call it. And in the chapter, we will focus mainly in how to be creativity and what is the creative strategy. And we divide into two parts. The first one is the background, how we plan it, how we develop it, and what is the exact creative strategy and what will we apply. And after that, this is Luan. He will introduce you how to execute it properly, how to conduct the appropriate creative strategy, or what technique we need to make it from theory, from paper into life.
Okay, very interesting introduction. So let's get started.
Firstly, I will tell you a case study of Nike. Oh yes, so I know that all of you guys, we all know that Nike stand with the statement is very famous that he just do it. Before becoming very famous, Nike has been dominating the market for more than a decade, for maybe nearly 100 years. To be specific, in 2002, Nike revenues were nearly $10 billion worldwide, and in the USA market, the woman is capable for 33% for the citizen number, but Nike revenue from the segment was just only 20%. And they see that this is very potential market segment that they have to enter that. Because mentioning about Nike, until now, I didn't mention back in the day, but until now, people usually think that Nike is just for men, for athlete, for fitness, but for men only, and they do not care about female. So Nike want to change the mindset of the women customer. They want to focus more in this domestic market. And in 1995, they run the first campaign called "If You Let Me Play." It's a series of marketing interviewing the fitness women, the women athlete, or all kind of women from pregnancy to housewife. They are all talking about what they can be if they are allowed to play sport, and women can play sport as well. Man, they can even better than men, and how passionate they are towards sports and fitness life. And in 2009, they run the campaign. Slide didn't run well. In 2001, they run the campaign called Nike Godness. Godness here stands for the base name of Nike. They stand from the women Godness from Athena. And Nike Godness is a campaign. They run a whole website for that. It's just focused on how women will change the impact of industry. To be more specific, in the shoes market, and they run multi product line for women like the Nike Place. So after the case study, I want to show you guys some cases of how Nike changed the market.
So really interesting case about Nike's and their remarkable results. But after this case, what implications or what is the main lessons you can achieve from this?
Yeah, after the case study, I want to emphasize that we all can agree that Nike stand with very high quality shoes and fitness stuff, and moreover, as well as despite their high quality product, they cannot communicate well with the women in back to the day, so they misunderstand the message they deliver. So I want to emphasize how important the message is. And once you miss communication with somebody, you have to spend years, you spend millions of dollars to change that. So I want to emphasize how important the message in marketing is. And the message in advertising, they focus mainly on one dimension they call the creative. So that's why we need the creativity strategy here. And strategy means how the message will communicate with the customer and how they will be creative enough to reach or to deliver the message. And we have two type of we have two different meaning definition. One is creativity strategy is how we determine what the message will say and how they will communicate. And the second is creativity tactic, and that's the planning, how the message, the plan will be conducted. And all of this we will conduct to come up with one thing called the big idea. The big idea is the center of the whole marketing campaign, is the heart of the whole key message that a campaign, a strategy wants to deliver. And through this big idea, and this big idea should be created, we will expand to many things that make the campaign success.
Okay, so creativity is important in every campaign, but I wonder who will involve in it, who will be engaged in the process.
Oh yeah, mentioned about who will be engaged in the process. As well as creativity is important, but not everyone is involved in the creativity process. For example, there's the fact that most of the students will pick marketing majority because we think that marketing is creative. Everybody working in the marketing department should be creative. We do not stick with a number, we do not stick with a paper, we creative. But in fact, not everybody can be involved in the designing process or the creative process. And only if you're the product manager, the creative manager, or some kind of agency that exact you directly do the producing the advertising, you should be engaged with the creativity process. But however, everyone in the company, in the client, or in the agency, they should share the same meaning, the same understanding with the whole idea. I mean the strategy, tactic that underlie the whole campaign to run it properly. Because if you're an account person, if you're a technical person, but you run in an agency, you want the campaign to be successful, you should know what is under that. So to sum up, I think that everyone should be engaged with the creativity process.
Okay, so another question I will raise to Cong is, why do we need in the creativities in our marketing strategies?
Oh yeah, I've been talking about creativity, how creativity is important, but I didn't state it down how important that is and how important it will change the whole game. So the importance of creativity and advertising is that a good creativity strategy can often central to determine the success of a product, service, or preserving the whole struggling brand. As I give example before, the quality of Nike cannot be denied. But if the message is not clear, they will not win the game in the very big market. Or in Vietnam, you can see some war recently between Milo and Ovaltine. They launched a campaign for the kids whether they should be a champion or not. And good creativity from Ovaltine really drive out the Milo out of the market for a while. That their sales decrease properly, and that's the reason why we need creativity here. And not only should an advertising campaign be creative, it also needs to be helpful to boost sales, because sales is the heart department of every company. The company get money from where? From the sales department. And the marketing should be the very supportive department for the sales to get a number, to get a profit, for the company to move on, to grow bigger, or to survive at least. And and if you want to see how important that is, I will give you some example like a Burger King. For example, in 15 years they have changed 11 times of marketing message campaign, and 6 different agencies, they spend millions of dollars, and some was ineffective, some were failed. Like back to basics in 1994, it was completely disappointing. But they spent millions of dollars, but after all, the manager still say it was that there's no wasting money on marketing because all the marketing for the creativity strategy worth it. And after 15 years changing millions of dollars spent, Burger King now is dominating in the worldwide market of fast food and burger. And so that's why I say creativity strategy and marketing is so important. I've been talking about what is creativity. To be more specific, the creativity is a very general term that people use to say there's people working in creativity field and there's people creative, but in whole life. But today I will talk to you specifically in creativity field in marketing. Firstly, we'll talk about different perspective on advertising creativity. There has been argument that strategy is a creative as long as they can create sale, they can boost sale. Second argument is that the creativity should be creative just because they are doing well their job of delivering the message. They do not need to stick with the sales department. I cannot say down whether the first argument is right or wrong or the second is right or wrong. But we have to accept that marketing support directly to the sales department, but at the same time they have to deliver the message to the customer. For example, Nissan, they used to have in the early 90s they used to have a campaign Enjoy the Ride, which was very successful. The customer received it, but they cannot boost the sale. The car dealer of Nissan, they say that it's very good. The advertising was very good, but they didn't focus most on the function of the car, the quality of the car, so we cannot boost our sales, we cannot make the profit come. And then, despite the successful advertising campaign, Nissan changed the whole thing back to script, which bring a lot of profit back to them, despite of the lack of success compared to the previous one. So to sum up, successful advertising campaign strategy should be balanced between how to maximize the sales volume and how to communicate well with the customer. And we've been through the sub process, and then we're back to the how to plan and how to develop the strategy. Creative. Firstly, we have to accept with the truth that in the creative environment, you have to face a lot of challenge. So to face of having risk and how to be creative, you cannot just stand out there, have nothing about knowledge. You have no background, you know nothing about the market, the customer, and you become creative. You cannot. You have to do research from many sources. You have to search for a statement. You have to find your own strategy for yourself. You have to have the communication objective, and there's no formula for being creative. But moreover, despite there's no formula for being creative, I can say that as well as you are creative in an organized way, which means you have a strategy for yourself to be creative. That's called creativity. But if you are creative without organization, without strategy, that's just an art. It cannot call creativity. So about the creative personnel is someone who work in the creative. Just like we know that they should be the one who live very free willing, free thinking. And the education background of them should be around of art, literature, music, humanities, structure, some kind of job that require creativity. But in this case, we just mentioned about how creativity in advertising. How to become creative or how to make the creativity come. That's not following any formula, but in this case I will show you the 5 steps of very famous one in Web Young, Vice President of John Porter Thompson, a very famous agency in the USA. He laid out 5 steps for the creative process, the creative strategy process, which begin with the immersion and digestion. Is when you gather material and you take the information and you start working over it, you brainstorming it. And incubation, which means when you come up with the idea, you write down, you put it into work, you don't just store it in your mind because that will limit your creativity. Illumination is the birth of idea, like the very famous statement Eureka, which means after you've been brainstorming, you're working out, you're collecting things, and they come an idea, they come a creative idea, and that's the moment that you that's the moment of the most joyful expression of a person of creativity field. And reliability and verification, which means there's an idea here, but somehow it cannot bring into reality because that's so far from the reality. Or if you rerun it, check it back, you verify it again. Maybe it's not suitable for the client requirement, or it cannot be afforded by the very high budget somehow. And for this step, some agency, very big agency, have an account planning department to again to identify whether the information, the creativity information you brought down is correct or not, useful or not. So then you have to input the creativity process. They're all in the process that I mentioned before, but they will break down to step like this. And the very important step in the creativity process is how to develop, how to